Gene Hackman, a Hollywood legend, two-time Oscar winner, an actor who defined gritty realism for decades. But he was also famously private, fiercely guarding his family life. Now, a shocking tragedy has thrust his three adult children into a spotlight they never sought, with an $80 million estate hanging in the balance. This isn't just about who inherits a fortune, it's about a lifetime of navigating a father's immense fame and the unforeseen chaos that can follow. Number 3, Christopher Allen Hackman, born in 1960, is the eldest child of Gene Hackman and his first wife, Faye Maltese. He grew up with his two younger sisters, Elizabeth and Leslie, during the peak of their father's incredible career. Gene Hackman himself admitted it was tough being the kid of a celebrity, saying, "I couldn't always be home with them. They've had my success always hanging over their heads." He also confessed to the selfishness of an actor, often away on location for months, making it hard to be a consistent guiding presence. Gene reflected with regret on this dynamic with Christopher, telling GQ in 2011, "I lost touch with my son in terms of advice early on." He blamed his frequent absences, yet this distance didn't mean a lack of love. In a 1984 interview, Gene emotionally stated they still hugged and that he thanked God for that enduring physical affection. There were shared interests too. Gene once mentioned Christopher considered acting, and Gene even wrote monologues for him, enjoying the process. After that brief brush with acting, Christopher chose a career behind the camera, working in the camera and electrical department on films like Hoosiers, 1986, and Made in USA, 1987, and as a camera operator on the documentary Chris and Don, A Love Story, 2007. This path allowed him professional independence within the film world, away from direct comparison to his father. Like his siblings, Christopher has valued his privacy immensely. Public appearances have been rare, one notable instance being at a celebrity tennis tournament with his dad way back in 1973. This lifelong preference for a low profile makes his current situation even more dramatic. The tragic deaths of Gene Hackman at 95 and his wife Betsy Arakawa, 63, in their Santa Fe home in February 2025, under grim and medically distinct circumstances. Betsy from hantavirus about a week before Gene, who died from heart disease and Alzheimer's complications, have created an unexpected legal storm. Gene's will, last updated in 2005, named Betsy as his sole beneficiary. Because Betsy died first, the $80 million estate's distribution is now uncertain. Number 2, Elizabeth Jean Hackman, born in August 1962, is Gene Hackman's middle child. Like her brother, she has lived a life deliberately shielded from the Hollywood glare. While preferring a life away from the cameras, Elizabeth did occasionally appear at her father's side for significant events. As children, she and Leslie were photographed on Gene's lap at a celebrity baseball game. She attended the 1978 Superman premiere in D.C., and in 1996 was at the chamber premiere in Beverly Hills with her father, sister Leslie, and stepmother Betsy Arakawa. These appearances seem to be gestures of familial support rather than any personal desire for the spotlight. Elizabeth is also a mother. Her daughter, Annie Hackman, is Gene Hackman's granddaughter. The family, including Gene's children, reportedly shared a close and positive relationship with Betsy Arakawa, Gene's wife, since 1991. This was affirmed by Elizabeth's sister, Leslie, who praised Betsy for the wonderful care she gave Gene. The shocking discovery of Gene and Betsy's deaths in February 2025 brought Elizabeth into the public conversation. She, along with her sister Leslie and her daughter Annie, released a poignant family statement. He was loved and admired by millions, but to us he was always just dad and grandpa. We will miss him sorely. In the immediate confusing aftermath, Elizabeth spoke to TMZ, conveying the family's initial, heartbreaking suspicion that toxic fumes like carbon monoxide might have been the cause, a theory later disproven by official investigations, which revealed Betsy died first from hantavirus, and Gene about a week later from heart disease and Alzheimer's. Number 1. Leslie Ann Hackman. Born in October 1966, is the youngest of Gene and Faye Maltese's 3 children. She too has consistently maintained a private life, reportedly living under her married name, Leslie Ann Allen. There has been some online speculation linking her to an attorney named Leslie Ann Allen, specializing in special education law, but geographical discrepancies and the lack of mention in recent news reports make this connection unconfirmed. What is clear is her dedication to staying out of the public eye. Her few documented public appearances with her father include the Golden Globes in 1984, and premieres for The Godfather Part 3, 1990, and Class Action, 1991. These were rare moments of public familial support. The deaths of her father and stepmother in February 2025, however, pushed Leslie into an uncharacteristically public role. She became an initial family spokesperson, providing statements to outlets like the Daily Mail and Us Weekly. In these early accounts, Leslie described her 95-year-old father as being in very good physical condition, enjoying Pilates and yoga, with no indication that there was any problem. She acknowledged she hadn't spoken to them for a couple of months, but believed everything was normal and good, emphasizing their close relationship despite the distance. She also spoke warmly of Betsy, crediting her with taking excellent care of Gene and keeping him alive. The tragic end and the $80 million question. The events of February 2025 were shocking. On February 26th, Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa were found deceased in their Santa Fe home, along with one of their dogs, after authorities performed a welfare check. The subsequent investigation unveiled the grim timeline. Betsy died around February 11th or 12th from hantavirus. Gene died about a week later, around February 17th, from heart disease complicated by advanced Alzheimer's. This sequence of deaths is critical because of Gene Hackman's will. Reportedly last updated in 2005, it named Betsy Arakawa as his sole beneficiary, with his $80 million estate to go into the Gene Hackman Living Trust. His 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, were identified as his offspring in the will, but were not named as direct beneficiaries if Betsy was alive to inherit. Because Betsy died before Gene, the primary provision of his will, giving his entire estate to her, is now void. If no contingent beneficiary was clearly named to inherit in Betsy's stead, Gene Hackman's massive estate could default to his children under intestate succession laws. Suddenly, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, who were not directly set to inherit from their father if Betsy had outlived him, became his legal heirs. Betsy Arakawa's own will reportedly stated that if Gene Hackman didn't survive her by 90 days, which he didn't, her assets would go into a charitable trust. This seems to direct her personal estate towards charity, but the $80 million Hackman estate is now the central focus. The Hackman children, through their attorney, successfully petitioned to block the release of sensitive death records, like graphic photos and videos, to protect their privacy. However, autopsy reports and some blurred footage were allowed for release. In a strange and somber note, as of late March 2025, it was reported that Gene Hackman's body had not yet been claimed by his children. The reasons for this remain private.